Oh, Senator Booker.
It's been a painful rivalry between Connecticut and New Jersey for a very long time.
You are not invisible. I swear you are not invisible to me, Senator Booker.
We don't abut each other, but we are the tri-state area. I appreciate the recognition, Mr. Chairman, and I just want to say to everybody assembled here, the fact that you're even sitting here before us reflects this commitment to country and service that should be applauded. All of you have careers that evidence, to me, the deepest symbol of patriotism, which is the willingness to make sacrifices for your nation, for the greater good. And I add to that the fact that you are lovers of humanity, and each of you have shown a commitment to wanting to make this world a better place and recognize America's extraordinary role in it. If I may, I want to really focus in on questions for Peter Lord, and I'm fascinated about Senegal right now with the election of a very young leader that seems to belie what's going on in that region with Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger. This election, this sort of transfer of power and democracy is a really hopeful sign, and it was talked about. In fact, when I was in Chad, I was talking about it with their autocratic leader as an example of new young leadership coming up. And I'm wondering, in general, how has Senegal sort of avoided this trend in the Sahel region? What can we learn from their experiences, and how can we reinforce really some of the promises of this new leader and promising development elsewhere in the region?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. Indeed, it is a hopeful sign for the West African region, which, as you noted, has experienced a number of coups. I would say most of those coups and a lot of the instability is related to weak governance. And that has not been the case in Senegal. Since its independence in 1960, its national budget spend has been focused on education and health. We as the U.S. government have partnered in that. And so they've had a deep tradition of focusing on citizen-responsive governance. And I think what we are seeing today through democratic elections that went well and institutions that reinforced those democratic values of the Senegalese people is because of those long-term investments over time. We have been a partner in that, and if confirmed, those are partnerships that I look to continue so that we can work to show that democracy does deliver a dividend and attract other states in the region to it, as well as work with Senegal on security and diplomacy through the regional organizations to hopefully restore democratic governance in those countries.
I love how you put that right. I mean, I was just talking about this in regards to Kenya. With all the democratic backsliding, countries that are showing a greater commitment to democratic ideals and principles, there should be a dividend. We should step up in some way. Senegal has maintained relationships with Israel, even though I know they're straining, but it's a Muslim-majority country. They're one of our significant partners. We already have the MCC there. Investments from obviously on health initiatives and more. I'm just wondering what are ways, and I know the president's actually recommending a greater investment in the country, but I'm wondering if you could, for this committee, which does have some people overlapping with appropriations as well, what are some things that we should be thinking about in terms of showing in a very strong way investments that can show and reward them for continuing to do what I believe is the right, to have the right trends.
Thank you again for your support and for that question. I think we need to continue to invest in democracy and the country's initiatives in democracy, so increasing our spend there to reinforce the institutions, but also to demonstrate that local governments deliver governments that are the closest to the people and their needs, continuing with our education and health support. And I understand that the Millennium Challenge Corporation is in development of a regional compact that focuses on blue economy. And so working on blue economy and employment, particularly for the extremely large youth population in Senegal, will be those are priorities for the new administration, and I think those are investments worth our energy, our time, and our dollars in order to yield the sorts of developments.
What are some of your concerns? I'm just going because I really want to try to get a question for Ms. Cavito. Really quickly, just their relationships with Russia, their relationships with China. Are these red flags in general? What's your strategy there?
They have diplomatic relations with both. With China is engaged very heavily economically, but fundamentally we continue to have the comparative advantage because both the United States and Senegal believe in democratic values, and that will continue to trump all the way in terms of our relationship and our comparative advantage in engaging. Most of the new administration's policies are very much in line with things that we want to see: transparency, job creation, focusing on people's basic needs. Those are all democratic pieces. We'll, of course, have to continue to be very innovative in using our economic tools to support increased U.S. investment, such as through the DFC. I would also say, as a cover, if confirmed, Guinea-Bissau as well, that we need a larger presence there, that Russia and China are engaging more and have presences there, and that it's important for us to increase our engagement and presence there.
I hope to be supportive in that and in future visits. With the indulgence of the chair, I'm going over, not as much as Ted Cruz, but
you haven't finished yet.
That's true. That's true. Ms. Cavito, real quick, I'm about to jump into the region. I'll be in Greece, but one of the things I'm going to be looking at is just the migration crisis in the region. Could you just give me a really quick perspective, help educate a senator from New Jersey about the migration issues relating from Libya and what we could be doing to help what is a crisis globally, we're seeing it at our borders, of global migration?
The weaponization of human migration and suffering is horrific in Libya, which currently houses approximately 700,000 asylum seekers, refugees, and other migrants. Because of the disunification of the government and the lack of structures in place to protect the human rights of these individuals, the situation is exacerbated. State and non-state actors are responsible for much of what we see. Additionally, we are working with the international community, the international organizations like IOM, to try to provide the Libyans with the tools that they need to better, secure their borders and reassert their sovereignty, but also to be in a better position to hold accountable individuals for protection of the human rights of these people. The migration flows, as you note, are increasing, 700,000, as I understand it, across the Mediterranean last year. So the situation is not getting better. This speaks again across the Sahel to the importance of accountable governance, justice, and providing countries that the United States works with, like Libya, with the tools that they need to protect their citizens, protect migrants on site, so that people don't take those horrifically dangerous journeys.
I appreciate it. I'm now in cruise territory, so I look forward to continuing this conversation. I just want to do a question for the record, because there's two staffers behind one of these future ambassadors that look very young. I just want to say for the record, I am against child labor, and when I find out who those two very young-looking staffers are working for, I will reconsider my affirmative vote. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Booker. Yeah,